Hey guys, Dan Roberts here. Today we're going to be making the most delicious eggplant sandwich that you'll ever have. We're going to marinate our own red peppers or capsicums, and then we've got some fresh pesto that we're going to be making from scratch. But before we get started, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. First step, we're going to char our capsicums, and we're just going to use the griller for that. We'll leave them in there until we get some nice color on those capsicums. So onto a tray and into the grill. Okay, next up, we're going to prepare our eggplant. We're just going to take the top and the bottom end off.
And then we want quite thin slices for this. Okay, so next up, we're just gonna get set up with a colander or a strainer over a bowl.
We're gonna salt these eggplants. Because they're quite high water content, we really want to pull out that extra moisture out of the eggplant. And once we've done that, we're just gonna let those sit for about 30 to 40 minutes, and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so those capsicums are ready now, nice and soft, we've got some color. We're just gonna place these into a bowl now. And then we're gonna cover it up with Glad wrap. And just let that sit for about 15 to 20 minutes. And that's just gonna continue to cook those through, and they'll get nice and soft, and then we'll come back and we'll peel that skin off. While those capsicums are resting, we're just gonna prepare our garlic. So we're gonna go real thin slices for this one. All right, next up, we're gonna get started with our pesto. So first up, we just wanna toast our pine nuts. Now, we're just gonna get that onto a low heat. So we just wanna make sure we keep those moving just to rotate those pine nuts. Okay, you can start to see those pine nuts starting to change color. Probably need about a minute or so. Okay, once they're done, we're just gonna set them aside in a bowl, let them cool down. Just make sure you take that off the heat. We don't want them to burn.
Place basil leaves into the blender, along with your pine nuts, grated parmesan cheese.
You can either use parmesan reggiano or pecorino.
And I've got half a clove of garlic in there too.
Okay, so first step is to just blitz that up. So once all that's come together, we don't want to over pulse that, because now we're going to go in with
extra virgin olive oil here.
And then we're just going to go in with a decent pinch of salt here. And then we can blitz that again, just to bring that all together. So there we go, nice fresh pesto. Okay, I'm just gonna lid that and set that aside. What you can do is, if you're not gonna be using this for a while, I like to put a layer of olive oil over the top, and that just helps preserve that and stop it from going brown. Okay, so now those capsicums or peppers, depending on where you're from. Here in Australia, we like to call them capsicums. You can see that they've softened, and now we're just gonna break them up and remove that skin. Try and keep them in large chunks. Okay, so now we're just gonna cut those up into strips. All right, so now we're just gonna place them into a jar. So the garlic goes in now. Olive oil, and we wanna pour in enough just to cover up the capsicums. I'm gonna go in with a pinch of salt, check the seasoning. Perfect. Just gonna pop the lid on. Just gonna mix that around. Okay, so we're just gonna pop that in the fridge. That'll stay fresh for up to 2 weeks. The longer you leave that, the more flavor that's gonna produce. Okay, so these have been sitting for about 30 to 40 minutes now. You can see all that liquid has come out of the eggplant. So we're just gonna set them onto paper towels. Just lightly patting them down, just getting the last bit of liquid out of them. Right, so now we're just gonna coat these eggplants. We've got plain flour, egg, and a panko and breadcrumb mix. So we're gonna go into the plain flour first. Shake the excess flour off and then into the egg. Let that excess egg come off. and then into the breadcrumb. What we're gonna do now is fry our eggplant. We've got some oil in the pan on a medium heat. We're gonna place those eggplants in until they're lightly brown on both sides. Making sure we don't overcrowd the pan. Just gonna go in with 3 at a time. Okay, so they're ready to turn now. It's a nice lightly brown color. Okay, we're just gonna set them aside. Okay, so we've just lightly toasted our buns, and now we're gonna put this sandwich together. For the base, we're gonna put some pesto down, a few slices of prosciutto, and a little bit of rocket, a little pinch of salt here. And you wanna place down 2 eggplant cutlets. We've got our marinated peppers. Nice even layer. Gonna have a little bit of burrata on top. And then we're just gonna finish off with the lid. There we have it. All right, time to cut it in half. Make sure you're using a serrated knife for this. Otherwise you'll just push the sandwich down rather than cutting it. Wow, look at those levels. So there we have it, eggplant sandwich, time for a bite. Yum. You get the saltiness from the prosciutto, that crunch from those eggplant fillets. There's marinated peppers. Delicious sandwich. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed that one, hit that like button and we'll see you on the next video.